the other day we were at Petco, and out front was this massive Angora rabbit. If you don't know what it is, this is what it looks like. This thing was huge. It had to weigh at least 50 pounds, but it got me thinking about the times that I was younger where I had rabbits. When I was little, I always had a dog. There was a dog in the house before I was born, so I kind of grew up around it. But when I was like 6, 7 years old, the next door neighbors moved out, and they had a rabbit that they ended up giving to us because they couldn't take it with them. So this rabbit's name was Lady Abilene, after the Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood fictional character, this one right up here. Anyways, this rabbit lived for a couple years with us, and this thing was great. Like, this thing was so much fun. You could let it out, it could run around, and where we live in New England, we have a change in climate, so in the winter it can get really cold, in the summer it can get really hot. So they had told us some basics about rabbit care because we had never had rabbits. I had never had a rabbit up to this point, so we didn't really know too much about them. We went out and got a couple books on them. We brought it to the vet that we had brought the dog to get it checked up on and everything. The guy told us basically if it's too hot, bring it in the house. If it's too cold in the winter, like if it gets below freezing, you can leave them out, but if it gets too cold, you need to bring them into the house. You can't bring them directly into the house. They can't go from being like 30 degrees to being in, you know, a 70-degree house. They have to stay like in a breezeway or a mudroom or a porch or something where it's not going to get below freezing, but it's still going to be warm enough for them to survive. Or you just have to take them in the house for the entire winter. So we would leave the rabbit outside because the next door neighbors had left the rabbit outside in the winter, and you know, you could see when they brought it in when it was going to be below freezing, and they would put it on their back deck, and they had like kind of like this big blanket they would put over it. So my dad ended up building this big hutch for this rabbit and extending on the one that they had already built, and they combined both the hutches together, so it had this pretty big area for it to climb around and run around in. Anyways, one of the things that I would do every single morning when I got up is I would watch Pokemon before I went to school, when that was popular when I was a little kid. So the new episode of Pokemon would always air in the morning at 6:30 before it aired at like 4 o'clock that day. So I kind of made it a thing where I would get up every single morning, have enough time to run out, give the rabbit water, get the rabbit's food dish, bring it in the house, put food in the dish, wait for a commercial break, bring it back out, feed the rabbit, take care of it, do all that stuff, and be able to watch the episode of Pokemon. Anyways, the reason that's a part of the story is because during a commercial break, when I would run back out to check on the rabbit or to bring it its breakfast, I came upon it laying on its side, dead. And that was the first time I had ever really seen a dead animal. And I touched it. I literally touched the rabbit, like, to pet it. And it didn't move. And within the blink of an eye, I had run all the way across my yard, back into the house, screaming like, Mom, come outside, the rabbit, the rabbit. We went outside, the rabbit ended up dying, but it was kind of old at the same time, so we don't know if it was exactly the cold or a mix between its age and the cold temperature, but it had a happy life. It lived to be like, I want to say 7 or 8 years old, 9 years old. It was a lops. They only lived like 6 years to begin with. That's going to do it, guys. I'll see everybody tomorrow for the weekend vlog. Peace.